Right there, it's the Spine Cop and it's Pete Bolster and I've got Christos Nicolau with me. It's the aftermath of the PSG game, so we will be talking about that. So if you're sick of it, just fast forward about 20 minutes and it'll all be about the Merseyside derby because that's the big one this week, isn't it? We have sort of accepted our fate to a certain point at the PSG game, so fast forward all you want. But if you're going to stick around for the post-mortem, it will also entail Arne Slot's future and what David Ornstein reporting and whether Arne Slot will stay in the job. And what will that mean for Liverpool? If you've made it this far, well done you anyway, but make sure that you subscribe because we need the subscribers. Just hit it. It's dead easy. It's free and it helps us out an awful lot. But the first thing we're going to talk about, Christos, it has to be the PSG game. Last week, Liverpool were taken apart, annihilated, and the only thing that flattered Liverpool was the scoreline. And that then started to filter into the week where you thought, can Liverpool do it? I wasn't always convinced, but as you get to kick off and you're approaching the ground, you're just thinking, what if we just do it? I was sort of focusing on the fact that if Liverpool were 1-0 up with half an hour to go, they've got every chance. With half an hour to go, it was still 0-0. A penalty was awarded about 5 or so minutes later, and I was thinking, oh, you just never know. And especially at Anfield, when Liverpool score one, they get the second goal fairly quickly. But in reality, PSG had a grip of that game throughout, I thought.
Yeah. I thought the game, what I wanted from Liverpool was to give it a proper go. In terms of the manager, I don't think he did that fully, but I do think the players gave a good account of themselves. I do think they tried the most they could have, considering the system, considering the way they were set up, and considering the opponents, because I really think PSG over the two legs comprehensively beat us in second gear. I don't really think they were pushed at all. And I think yesterday was just another sort of example of how good they were. Liverpool huffed and puffed, but at the end of the day, we just weren't clinical enough in the final third. We weren't getting enough balls in the box. Our players weren't pressing effectively. I think there was a lot of factors in there. And as you said, anything could have happened during the game. Van Dijk misses that massive chance. The penalty could have went either way. But at the end of the day, we just didn't create enough. And luck, sometimes you've got to make your own luck. And I don't think we did that enough.
What I wanted was Liverpool to have a proper go as well, to show some fight, show some tenacity, and make sure that if we're going to go out with pride. To be honest with you, I've seen enough from the players, that fight and that spirited performance in the second half to see all that. But what they reminded me of was when you see a British fighter on the domestic stage step up to that next level, to world level, and they get absolutely found out. I think you're right. We can talk about the penalty. Was it a penalty or wasn't a penalty? I think all of that is redundant, really, when you think that PSG could have been 2-0 up at least in the first half. And Liverpool were lucky to get away with it. But what I want to focus really on is the tactics, because last week it's clear that Arne Slot got those tactics wrong away in Paris, and it set us up to fail. To play 5 at the back or a 3-5-2 or whatever formation he was trying to implement at that point, when Liverpool don't play that system, was very suicidal going away against the European champions. But then to change your system again, like with Isak coming in, Isak's coming back from a broken leg, and then to say just before the game, actually, he's only playing 45 minutes, to not play Mohamed Salah, but then to say to him, this guy who's not even fit, who's coming out for half-time, is ahead of you. I just thought that was damning from the manager. I don't think it was good. I don't think it was good for the idea that we're going to have a proper go. And I also think that you couldn't afford to get anything wrong when you're already 2-0 down. And that first 45 minutes, for me, the manager wasted it.
Yeah, I don't think it made any sense in terms of the intent. So what you're saying is we're going to go for the game. We're going to try and dominate the game from minute one, and we're going to try and show PSG that this is Anfield. We're going to try and make them be fearful. We're going to try and force mistakes. And when you've got 3 or 4 players, Ekitike, Isak, Vert, especially Isak was a wild decision for me. They're not the types to press. They haven't got the physicality at this moment. And they're not that sort of player who's going to get you up front. They're not going to press from the front. Even the press, they were just a little bit further forward from the midfield. They were nowhere near the defending players, and PSG were getting out so easily. They were so relaxed every time they sort of put a few passes together. They were creating chances. They looked more dangerous, I think, even though we sort of controlled the game in most of the moments. I think every time they got the ball and went forward, they were able to create more chances, and they looked more dangerous for me.
I think you spot on when you said before that they never got out to second gear. I think they were calm. I think they come and they were calm. But just for argument's sake, Alexander Isak does get that chance when Gravenberch slides him through. He's rusty. He's not match fit. So I can see why he's missed the chance. I think if any striker comes back in Liverpool Football Club's history, when you've had injuries, that's what happens. They're not as sharp as you like, and you sort of a little bit forgiven. But the manager probably would have been vindicated if Isak puts that ball in the net. But then, from all the things that I've already said, it was just a stupid decision. And then it's even more stupid when, I'm going to read you some of these stats, when Mohamed Salah played 59 minutes against PSG over the two legs, and the expected assist was the joint most. His chances created was the third most, and the touches in the opponent's box was the second most, 14, compared to every other player in the whole of PSG and Liverpool over the two legs. So therefore, he was such a creative force, and he's one of our most dangerous players. And listen, I can only hear the people moaning and groaning as they're listening to this or watching this. Oh, Mohamed Salah's finished, his legs are dropped off and all that. I've heard it all before, yet sound, right? But he's still a footballer that plays for Liverpool, who's got 20 goals and assists this season. That's one behind Hugo Ekitike. So therefore, if Hugo Ekitike's having a good season, why is Mohamed Salah having such a bad season? And then we'll say the whole standard thing, but the reality is he's still a footballer that could have won the game last night. And when Mohamed Salah was playing last night, Liverpool looked more like Liverpool. Even the cross, very early on when he come on, we just looked a hell of a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, I think he changed the game. As soon as they came on, I think we looked a lot more likely to score. I think he was able to link the play up a lot more. We looked more confident. And he's got that aura about him, Mohamed Salah, doesn't he? And the crowd went wild as soon as they say Mohamed Salah, because that was that was his last Champions League game, and they wanted to give him that sort of encouragement. And when you see Mohamed Salah coming off the bench, you can only feel positive things. You've seen him create and carry Liverpool over the years, and you were sort of hoping that he could have done that again. It shows that the massive mentality that he had, that he just got on with it, came on the pitch and gave everything he could for Liverpool. And that stat that you've just brought up, Peter, that's damning, because it just shows that even though he's dropped off, he's arguably the most effective player that Liverpool had on the pitch. And how we're going to replace that next season is something that we've really got to be concerned about, because we're saying he's dropped off, but at the same time, he's one of our better players.
Exactly. That's another show in itself, isn't it? That I do believe some of these footballers that have come into Liverpool are just simply not good enough. Stylistically, we've spoke about the profile of them all season, whether they're the right fit or they're not the right fit. I don't even know if we can answer the question. I think we can talk about it, how we've watched Liverpool play football over the years, but then that sort of then says, well, what are we turning into? What are we transitioning into? What I don't like is that Mohamed Salah has played a lot of football with Hugo Ekitike, and Isak's barely played any. So that relationship last night, to throw in the Champions League quarter-final, to make sure that you're going to make sure that you're going to have a real good go in it, and you potentially get into a semi-final. That was our whole season on the line to potentially win a trophy. And as unrealistic as it was, it came even more evident that it was more unrealistic when you're just throwing a player on who's not fit, who hasn't got these relationships with footballers. Mohamed Salah played against Fulham. He scored a cracking goal. He linked up fantastic with Jeremy Frimpong on that right-hand side, with Dominic Szoboszlai and Florian Wirtz as well in midfield. And I just thought, what was that about? The manager gambled away to PSG. He gambled a home to PSG. And to me, he looked like he's auditioning to stay at Liverpool for next season, to show us what he's about. And I still haven't seen one single performance this season where you go, yeah, I can see what they're doing. I can see a bit of something there, and it's a bit like, yeah, we can build on that. I see absolutely nothing in this manager and in this football team right now.
Yeah, there's a clear lack of identity, and I think that translates on the pitch. I think that creates confusion towards the players. There's no way of pressing. There's no real way of defending. Everything's just all over the place, and I think that will only create toxicity inside the club and to the fans, because every time you go to Anfield or you go away, you don't know what you expect. You don't know what system we're going to play. You don't know what tactics he's going to use. At one point in the season, he was consistently using the same system and the same tactics. Then he switched it up. But every time he tries something different, nothing seems to work, which the only thing that means for me, he's just not the right man for the job. He's not a motivator. His man management arguably has not been the best for me. We've arguably lost a couple of players in Mohamed Salah and Robertson who could potentially have stayed another year. And yeah, I think we need some sort of direction right now, because I'm really fearful that this season could affect us further down the line. A lot of these players that we do have right now, the likes of Szoboszlai, Konate's running down his contract. How can they have confidence in Liverpool going forward if they've got bigger clubs knocking on the door?
I want to talk to you about what you just said then about motivation. So you're a Liverpool player. Let's say you're Dominic Szoboszlai now, or you're Hugo Ekitike, and you're facing the European champions, and I'm your manager. And what I say to you is, we're going to change our system to combat PSG. We're not going to play 4 at the back. We're going to play 5 at the back. And then when we get to Anfield, the return leg, we're still not going to play how we want to play. We're going to change again, because we're going to have 2 up front and we're going to be slightly different again. What does that do to your confidence?
As I said, it just creates confusion. It creates uncertainty. And then you're asking players to just make it up on the spot. Systems and tactics don't just happen. You need to work on them on the football
But it's also saying that then you're not good enough, so we have to do something. So I just think it doesn't fill you with confidence anyway. So it's sort of like then draining. But listen, we're playing the European champions. They're a fantastic football team. I think they're a joy to watch, other than the fact that I was watching them against us. You look at that midfield, I just feel like they're like a high-class swarm. They're so aggressive, the way they press, the way they pass, and they pass with such ease, and they're so confident. There's an argument to say that we were always going to go out, but it's the way you go out for me. And it was the decision-making that I just didn't like. And another decision, because we talk about Mohamed Salah not starting, but there's a young lad on the bench there. And I grew up watching Michael Owen come into the team. I watched Robbie Fowler come into the team. And I just can't imagine that you don't have Michael Owen starting for Liverpool when he was as good as he was at that moment. And Rio Ngomoa, when he come on, it was too late. And it was like, if you're going to play Isak, make sure you've got a lad who's absolutely driving down that left-hand side and giving the opposition something to think about, and then being more creative. He had a little shot at goal. He looked a joy to watch. It was refreshing. And to me, again, I don't know what he's waiting for. I don't know what he's saving him for, because it's far too late to win any trophies now, but it's far too late for me personally, to see what this manager can do, because he's crying out for the winger all season and he's just keeping him there. What's he saving him for?
Yeah, I think that also sends mixed messages to Ngomoa, because we brought him to Liverpool with a promise that he would get first team football, and I don't think we've delivered that at all. I think we've misled him.
But there's arguments now. So I can hear the arguments right back at you and say, but he's still only 17. But my argument is, and I get where you're going with this, but my argument is, who cares if he's 17? When you look at Lamine Yamal and you look at footballers like that who are brilliant right from the beginning, Wayne Rooney, brilliant right from the beginning, James Milner. People talk about players' careers being cut short. James Milner's still playing for Brighton.
Yeah, but if Liverpool have made that agreement and they've told him, we want you to come to Liverpool to play first team football, that means they thought at that moment that he was good enough to play for Liverpool. So if he was good enough then, he's certainly good enough now. He's got bigger, he's got more confidence, he's got more time with the team, he's trained with Liverpool, he knows what Liverpool means, and he's a good character as well. I like his attitude, and that can only be sustained so long, because he's a superstar and he will be a superstar. And I think you've got him on a leash, and you just need to unleash him and just let him flourish. There's no. Why would you save him, especially last night against PSG? You just let him go, because you had nothing to lose. You had everything to gain, and in a way, he bottled it. He didn't take that chance, and as you said, it was too late when he threw him on.
I just don't understand why he's not playing. I really don't. I just think as well, right? So I always think about it when you see politicians come into politics and they make decisions not for the long run, because they're in politics for that short term. So they're thinking, I need to get through this year. I need to get through this 4 years. I need to get whatever. And you can say in one sense, it's admirable that if he's really looking after the lad and he's thinking, we don't want to burn him out or whatever. I don't know how you burn someone out if you don't play. But at the same time, I'm thinking this is your last throw at the dice, in the sense that, like, well, if you're going to keep your job at Liverpool Football Club, then you need to play the best players that are available. Rio Ingamo is an asset at Liverpool right now. And the quarter-final at Anfield, when he come on, he's playing in the quarter-final, a Champions League quarter-final. He didn't look bothered. He looks fearless. He looks like all of this psychological baggage that the other footballers have got this season, when something goes wrong and they go, oh no, it's happening again. You see when Konate presses out and the ball's like easily passed him behind, like the second goal, he's like, oh God, because he knows, he's got that muscle memory of the psychological fear of what's happened, the trauma throughout the season. Rio Ingamo is a breath of fresh air, and I just don't understand why the manager doesn't go, you know what, come on, go and do what I need you to do and show us what the system needs to entail. But what's even more damning is, Christos, he's come out and said the future, this is Arne Slot, by the way, the future looks very bright for this team and the club, because we've shown we can compete with the champions of Europe and dominate against them. I didn't see any domination. I didn't see anything. What I did see is that Liverpool tried to play twice as fast as PSG and ended up being slower. I think they tried to bombard them and tried to say, look, this is Anfield and we're going to do this. And in the end, just got picked off.
Yeah, and I think PSG realised beforehand that Liverpool were going to try and do that. And they just picked their moments to counter-attack. And it worked perfectly, really. And it could have been finished a lot earlier, first half, really. Every time they went forward, you could see a way where they would have scored. And yeah, I just think it was too easy for them. I don't think we did enough to actually put pressure on them. And we've said it before, they were in second gear. At no point of the game did I think we're going to win this game. Maybe during the penalty, I started to get my hopes up. Then I seen the replay, and I was like, is that a penalty?
Do you think it was a pen?
I don't think that was a penalty, no.
So I agree. I don't think it was a penalty. I think it was soft, but I don't think it was enough to overturn it. So that, to me, was a bit like dodgy. But I want to go back to his point that he said that we look like we can dominate. It looks like we can compete. We got beat 4-0 on aggregate. In the 2 ties that we played 4 games now, and we've only scored a goal on one of those occasions. That was Harvey, very in the last minute, and we didn't look like we were going to score that night. It was very much against the run of play. So in the course of the 4 games he's had against Luis Enrique, who is a wonderful manager, by the way, they've only scored 1 goal, and they don't. Well, we did look like scoring a few times at Anfield last season. That would be wrong for me to say that, but at the same time, this manager looks out of his depth when he's playing against someone who is very high caliber in Luis Enrique.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, he's inherited a world-class team, in my opinion, and he's been given the keys to put his own sort of touch on it, to adapt it in the way he wanted to, and he's been given a lot of money. I get that we've also lost players that were highly valuable for Liverpool, but that was in some ways in his hands as well. And that was his job to replace them correctly. Now, we've dropped off too much, in my opinion. We've become a very mediocre team. I can't say that we are elite. So he's alluding that we looked elite or on par with them in the terms that we were competing with them. I don't think that was the case at all. I think if we were a mediocre team, they came over with a 2-0 lead, and they just knew that eventually they'd find a way to score. They didn't need to come and kill the game off because they knew that their chances would come.
Yeah, and I think that's what played out. I think I'm going to read you something now from David Ornstein. So what I'm concerned about here is that when I was watching the press conference the night before on Monday night, Arne Slot seemed a little bit more relaxed than he did in previous press conferences. And despite the mammoth task that was ahead of him, he just looked calm. And I know he has this persona of being calm, but he looked a bit more, I don't know, he looked more relieved. And maybe he's had conversations behind the scenes where he is staying. He certainly will be in conversations about who's coming in next season, because he's said after the game that we have to buy to sell, which I don't like the sound of that. I really don't. I don't know who you sell, first of all. We've got so many few players. I don't know who we're selling. But But I want to read something out here. So on the Athletic podcast, David Ornstein has said that all of our information is that FSG, the ownership, the sporting hierarchy at Liverpool, they intend to stick with Arne Slot. From the conversations I've had, even if there's no Champions League football, that's the intention, which I don't believe about the Champions League football, but we are on course at this very moment to get Champions League football. Do you think FSG will? I asked Chris this last week. Do you ever think FSG are going to stick with Arne Slot? Are they that arrogant, or are we just wrong? Where it's like, oh no, he might be the right man. He's had all the mitigating circumstances. He's had all terrible things that have happened this season. The injuries, even last night when we talked about Hugo Ekitike, who is now reportedly out for about 9 to 12 months, which is an absolute sickener. All of those things. Do you think there's any way back where he can resurrect his Liverpool career, or things like when he's coming out last night and saying, we can compete? And I've described this at the beginning of the show like a domestic boxer getting knocked out by Manny Pacquiao.
I don't think that's true. And it doesn't make sense to me, especially with things that FSG have done over the years. Now, recently we've had a discussion about the ticket increases. So if they're willing to disrupt the whole club for £1 million, I can't see how they're going to stick with Arne Slot, who's potentially going to cost Liverpool millions and millions of pounds, not only for the season coming, but that could be detrimental for the next 3, 4, 5 seasons. That could bring us down. We could literally go and be Man United for the next 10 years. So you've got to be really, really careful. And I think they are smarter businessmen than a lot of people think. And I don't think they'll allow their assets to devalue itself so much. So I think he has to get Champions League football, because that's basically where they're going to get the revenue from, and that's how we bounce back. If we're in Europa League football next season, that's just, I can't see Arne Slot being at the dugout. No chance.
I can't see that. That's not happening. What my biggest concern is, if he is staying, for example, what we've seen, and I've spoke about it on this show, I've spoke about it all season, I'm not seeing what's coming next. I don't know what it is that we're seeing. Was it a deliberate ploy to sign Hugo Ekitike and Alexander Isak to play 2 number 9s? Because I don't like that anyway. Because let's just say last night it worked, right? And Liverpool, or worked to a certain extent. Liverpool won the game 1-0 and we went out and with a blaze of glory and it looked all right and we were fine. And, you know, I don't like how narrow we were. I was like, this is not what I like to watch. When you think about, it isn't just a modern thing. So I remember Suarez and Sturridge, and it was fantastic to watch. It really was. But the difference is with them two, they were 2 unique strikers that were all over the pitch. It was like having a front three because they were that good, especially Luis Suarez. Daniel Sturridge can't be underestimated how good he was, by the way. But when you think about 2 strikers, it's like I'm saying again about narrow, but when you think about, sorry, I'm repeating myself now, but when you think about wingers, you think about John Barnes for Liverpool down the years. You think about Steve McManaman in the 90s. You think about Cristiano Ronaldo on the wing for Man United, or Ryan Giggs, Robert Perez, Freddie Ljungberg for Arsenal, Thierry Henry on that left-hand side of things. I just think it's the most exciting way to play football, and playing narrow football and dominating the central areas is just not for me. And what you're going to do is, if you're going to keep this manager, you're going to say, well, we're going to need some more money. We're going to sell this player, that player, and that player. And then we're going to bring in these next lot, and we haven't even seen anything like promising from any of the signings that we're seeing. Like, I'm looking at them there, Christos. I don't know what signing that you think, do you know what, you can hang your hat on them. Because I think all of them, including Florian Wirtz, I think all of them have got massive question marks over them. So what you're going to do is, you're going to allow him to have another go at this.
Yeah, I think it's too risky, and I think he's not proven to us that what he's trying to build is going to be successful. He's not proven that he's managed the players that have come in. They've all struggled. And I can't sit here and say that Florian Wirtz, Alexander Isak or Ekitike are poor players or not good players. They're obviously great players, if not world-class players. But the fact that he can't utilise them correctly is a massive red flag for me. Why are these players performing at the highest level for their national teams and then not being able to replicate it? Why are they performing at the highest level in their previous teams and not being able to replicate it? And they've not been at poor clubs. they've been at massive clubs and they've done brilliant things for their respective clubs. So that only says to me that he's not managing the players he's got. If you think about Klopp, he could make a diamond out of anyone, even if it was 6 million player, 10 million player. And now we're buying these ready-made players, which would have been the dream for Jurgen Klopp. And he can't do nothing with them. They're not effective. They're not changing games. They've certainly not changed our season. And they've not become a sort of steady figure in the club. Even now, people having question marks that, do we even keep Florian Wirtz? Is he potentially one that we could offload and get some?
I think it's a terrible signing. I really do. I think I was watching him against PSG, and I just thought, and this isn't the first time, and I've really got annoyed at him recently. And I understand that he's not the right fit for this current Liverpool team, and I accept what you're saying. He is going to be a great player, but he's slow. And I think he's the opposite of what we need right now. And I'd actually say he's one of the worst Liverpool signings I've ever seen. Not because he's not a good player, because we've just spent 100 million when you could have spent a hell of a lot more money. The big striking difference when I was watching PSG and Liverpool was that, yes, they've got some fantastic footballers, and it would be an absolute disservice to put them all in the same category and say that the Doué and Dembele and the Georgian lad who I can't say his name right now, all haven't got their own uniqueness, but they all look the same. And I think that's the biggest compliment I can give them, is that it doesn't matter if it's the right back or the left back or the centre mid, there is very much a team. And when you're watching Liverpool, it's like, there's Frimpong and there's Wirtz and there's so-and-so, because it's so obvious it's them, because they're all so different and they're all playing so individually and so out of sync that they don't look like a team.
I think we've gone away from what Liverpool represents as a club. I think if you look at PSG, they tried to sort of replicate the Galacticos, where they brought Messi in, Neymar, Mbappe, and it never really worked for them, and they never got really over the line. And they went away from that model and started buying young, promising players, a few superstars, but you would never say anyone that was a Ballon d'Or winner or the best player in the world. And they were all hungry for more. They were all hungry to get to the top of the game. And it's worked wonders for them. And I think that was one of the things that Liverpool over the years had. We never had the best player in the world, but they were all great players working together as a unit. At this moment, this model that they're trying to build looks to me that they're just trying to buy the best player in their position and hoping it just works. So you've bought Isak, who's arguably one of the best strikers in the world. You've bought Wirtz, who's arguably one of the best 10s in the world or best sort of creative players in the world. Then Kirkes was arguably one of the best left backs in the league. So you're always trying to buy the best, and you're just mixing them together. It's like creating a FIFA team and you just think that it's going to work because the stats are really good. But real football doesn't work that way. You need some sort of unity, you need the chemistry, and you need the desire from every single player. And I don't think that's really there at this moment.
I think I'll go through it. I'll go through the reality of football for you. Kirkes is crap. I don't think he's a Liverpool player. I think Frimpong can be a useful squad player, but you see him try and control the ball. When I was watching him against PSG, instead of just bringing it down and making a lovely pass, I think Trent Alexander-Arnold would have made the pass in one move. You look at Hugo Ekitike, I think he's got loads of promise and he's obviously been the shining light of the season. But there's big question marks over his temperament and whether he's going to fit into a team performance. Or is he going to be one of these footballers that in 2 years' time is putting a transfer request in to go and sign for Real Madrid or something, because he just doesn't seem right to me. Isak, listen, loads of people got question marks over him and whether he can press and whether he can do this and whether that. I couldn't wait to sign him. I loved watching him play. But he has got injury questions and then he broke his leg, which is very unfortunate. And then the player that we're all thinking about now is Florian Wirtz. It's such a waste of money. It's such a waste of money. And the reason being is you get that 100 million and you get the 100 million and you spread that out and you say, this is what we're doing. And in 2 years' time, you get a Florian Wirtz and you sprinkle him in the team, the one that's already there. You don't get Florian Wirtz. He's not the first player on your team sheet. You don't get him. He's the one that you get to crown off everything that is beautiful about your football team. You go, what are we missing here? You've got a Wijnaldum, you've got a Fabinho, you've got a Henderson. What are we missing? Are we missing this lovely creative player? Listen, we've got none of them. We've got no one who can run. And the fact that you've added a player who doesn't like to defend, who also can't run, is just criminal for me. We're in agreement then. Everyone I speak to is flabbergasted at the idea of Arne Slot next season. can you see anything that he will stay? Because I just think they're so egotistical, this group, that they might just say, no, we're keeping him. Is there anything into it? Is it the fact that he's the head coach? Is it the fact that he'll just coach what he's got? Maybe that's part of his problem. I always think the best managers don't just manage down, they manage up, and they manage up and that say, we need this player. Where I'm not, like, people going about Luis Diaz, he was sold from underneath him. Listen, if I'm at the football club, you're not selling Luis Diaz unless you're giving me another top player. And you that's where my biggest concern is. I mean, it's not my biggest concern. My biggest concern is the identity of the football, and the fact that we've lost 17 games this season now, which is shocking. You were right, by the way, last week. I pulled you up on it, and you're right. I feel like I've lost 2 in once now, Christos, which is even worse. But I think the most damning thing is, if you are going to defend Arne Slot and say he's been left short, well, then he should have managed up. That's my point.
Yeah, he needs. I think it's too late at this moment to say that there's something salvageable to create from Arne Slot. I think he's made wrong decisions. They've made wrong decisions, and he doesn't look like he's in control of the club at all. I don't think he's that figure who's connected to the fans. I don't think he's connected with the players. I don't think he instills belief to the players. I can't really think of a great comeback this season. Maybe a couple at the start of the season, but were they great comebacks? Not really.
He can't harness the crowd, can he? He can't use Anfield to his advantage. So when Liverpool are on top, he sort of makes decisions to then sort of like calm it down and diffuse the crowd. I think it's mad.
Yeah. And yeah, I think he's got it wrong. I don't think he's realised the way the club works. And we don't just need a head coach. He needs to stop saying he's the head coach. We need a manager. We need someone who's going to be the godfather of Liverpool, someone who will instill belief and motivate. It's like when Jurgen Klopp came, I would sit there and I would rather watch a Jurgen Klopp press conference than put a movie on. He was that entertaining and he was that drawing to me. I would believe every single word he'd say. Even when the season when you weren't doing as well, you'd always have that style of play. You'd always have the next thing coming. You could always see what was progressing. Even I'm thinking even when we drew with West Brom and he got the fans celebrating like we won the Champions League. That's what he needs to do. He needs to get the fans to buy into him. He needs to get the fans to buy into the team and what we're trying to build. And at this moment, it doesn't look like he's building anything, not with the fans, not with the team, and certainly not with the club.
I think it's like watching Brendan Rodgers now at the end. And I think if you look at the two managers, because I mean, at points, I feel like I'm watching Roy Hodgson, but if you be really, really critical and you say, Luis Suarez almost won Liverpool the league in 2014 and he just didn't manage to get it over the line. If Brendan Rodgers won that league, does that mean then he should have stayed? Because that's the big thing. Oh, he won us the league, so he should stay and he should be given this like sort of gratitude and we should worship him forever and thank him forever. I just think that they're very similar now because it's very similar situations. Luis Suarez nearly won the league. Mohamed Salah did win the league, and I think that's the key difference.
Yeah, well, you're only as good as your last game, isn't it? And I think in manager terms, that means you're only as good as what you're doing right now, especially when you've got to do with massive football clubs like Liverpool.
But do you think he was just a bit fortunate? That's what I'm getting at.
What do you mean, sorry? Do
you think he was just fortunate that Mohamed Salah had the season of his life?
I don't think he was fortunate. I think he came into a world-class team and he made the necessary little tweaks and it worked to his advantage. And we had world-class players. I think people underestimate the effect of Trent Alexander-Arnold, Luis Diaz, all these players that we had and the chemistry we had. All the players we have this season were a year younger and they had a lot more energy, a lot more belief.
Mohamed Salah had the season of his life though. What I'm saying is Mohamed Salah doesn't have that season last season. We probably don't win the league. And that's where I'm drawing the comparison now with Brendan Rodgers and Luis Suarez. Luis Suarez missed the first 7 or 8 games it was because of the incident with the racial abuse, and that's why he missed that. If he started that season, Liverpool probably win the league. That's what I'm saying. So how there's a mirror image here of what he's done and what Arne Slot's done, just to combat any myths about if you win the league as well doesn't necessarily mean you're a great manager. Alex Ferguson is a great manager. Jose Mourinho is a great manager. Jurgen Klopp is a great manager. Carlo Ancelotti is a great manager. But there are people in there that have won the league who are not great managers. Look them up because we haven't really got time right now because I'm running out because I want to get to the Everton game, which is the big one this week. When we talk about Champions League football, Christos, the Champions League now is imperative to qualify. He's talking about footballers that we must sell in order to buy in the summer. I don't know who he's referring to. The only players I can think of is Curtis Jones. He won't get very much. He's got 12 months left on his deal. And potentially Alexis McAllister. I don't know if there's anyone else in the team because you're just running out of footballers. What my point and what I'm driving at is that Liverpool must qualify for the Champions League, otherwise we're going to be even more skint. I'm looking at this week against Everton, and I truly believe that Liverpool need to win 4 games. And they will win those 4 games if they beat Everton on Sunday. And if they don't beat Everton on Sunday, I just think it'll be like a domino effect or the house of cards, where it'll all come crashing down because you've just been beaten by Everton and PSG in the same week. And we've had all the other bad results in the last couple of weeks as well. And I just think Liverpool will implode.
Yeah, no, it's a massive week and it's really exciting going to Everton. And it's the new stadium, the new manager bounce still in effect. They're on top of the world, really. If you look at their last couple of seasons, they've had relegation battles. So for them, it's an excellent season. So arguably, you've got the best Everton in the last few years against the worst Liverpool over the last few years. So that's going to be a potential match in itself. So that would be a very interesting game to watch. And I think it's one we've got to be really careful because just like we have the Anfield factor, I think they're going to use their crowd and I think they're going to use their love for Everton. And that could really affect us in our performance. We need to go there and show them that we still need this Champions League, that it means more for us. And I think it's going to be really tough. It's going to be really challenging. They're a physical team. They're not going to just lay down and let us win. And every time you play Everton, I think form goes out the window. And I think that's what we've got to be really careful of.
Let's hope it does go out the window because we're crap. But what gives me the utmost confidence, Christos, is that Everton are crap. Everton are Everton. And Everton will continue to be Everton, which means that Liverpool are more than likely going to win the game and win the first game at the Hill-Dickey Stadium because wouldn't that be nice? I think if you win the first game at Hill-Dickey Stadium, you'll always win them there. I think that's how it works. And do not give them anything. But I am a bit worried, I'll be honest with you, because we are going to be missing Hugo Ekitike now. I referenced it before that he's going to be out for a considerable amount of time. And when I was talking on the last show with Chris, I said to him that the one thing that Liverpool have got now is goals. They look like they can score goals from anywhere. They literally haven't done that yet. It was just a bit of a theory that would move them forward. If you've got players like Ekitike, Isak, Salah scoring, Rio playing on the left. Rio's not been playing. Salah got dropped. Isak only played 45 minutes and Hugo Ekitike got crocked. So it didn't really go to plan. And now you're looking at it thinking, oh God, like who's going to play on Sunday? I'm looking at Isak. Do you think he'll start?
No, not at all. I don't think he can do that. I think he's proven now that he's not ready physically. He's not ready to do that in terms of 90 minutes. And I think he's probably going to go with Gakpo. You know how much he loves the landlord winger. He loves him. And I think at the same time, I think he does do a job at moments for Liverpool. Even against PSG, he was semi-effective. So he was doing more than what Isak did, I think. I
thought he was over than Salah. I thought he was better than Wirtz. I thought he was better than all of them, really, that was on the pitch going forward.
So considering that, I think Gakpo has to start that game. And I think if you're looking for a goal, then maybe you can throw Isak in with 20 minutes to go, 30 minutes to go. But to start him again, and then if they get the momentum of the game because you're not pressing them correctly, because you're not physical enough, and then that game runs away from you, then you've lost it. It's too late to bring anyone on. It's too late to bring Rio on. You need to go there and try and win it in the first half, something that we've not done enough. Arguably under Arne Slot, we're waiting until second halves to win the games. And I think we need to go and grab the game by the scruff of the neck and just show them how good we are and how crap they are.
Do you think the manager's saying that? Do you think he's saying in that dressing room, go and grab the game by the scruff of its neck, because he doesn't I've seen him be a little bit more theatrical on the touchline recently. I don't know if I'm being unfair, like as if like, well, I'm being a bit more observant.
No, I think I've noticed that.
You've noticed that as well.
I've noticed that as well.
Do you think he is inspiring? Because we spoke a little bit about it before, but do you think he is inspiring this team? Do you think he's saying to them, "Come on, let's go and fight there"? Because that's what my concern is there. That you said Everton are buoyant. They're in confident mood. They've beaten Chelsea the other week. I think it was that 3-0. I think it was, and they've got that new stadium factor. It's the first derby there. They're going to want to win it. They are going for European football. Forget about the Champions League. They're just going for European football, and they're very, very happy with that, and so they should be. They've had a fantastic season. But they've got fight. And to me, when I watch Everton, and when I've watched David Moyes over the years, they do fight. And what Liverpool are lacking at the moment is fight. Do you think Arne Slot can inspire them this week? Do you think he's telling them to do that? Or do you think he's just very much calm and we're walking or sleepwalking into a disaster?
I think he tries to do that, but I don't think he's got the skills to do that. I don't think he's got the words to do it. I don't think he's inspiring enough. And I think sometimes his tactics contradict what he's saying in the dressing room or during press conferences. And I think, like last night, he said that he wants to attack the game. He wants to press PSG. And ultimately, you've put Isak on the pitch, so you're contradicting yourself a little bit in the way you're setting up your team. And that's always going to give more messages to your players in terms of, well, you've said you want to attack the game, but you've put a player on who's been out for 4 months. So, I don't know. I think he's very confused at this point. I think he's under pressure and he's making crazy decisions.
I think the Liverpool midfield is a massive problem for me. So in both penalty boxes, I mean, you can say it all over the pitch, can't you? But in both penalty boxes, it's a bit of concern. But the Everton midfield who are more willing to fight than ours. Like McAllister's just struggling at the moment. I think Dominic Szoboszlai is having too many touches on the ball. He's giving it away very easily at times and starting to believe his own hype about the superstar status, and maybe just needs to come back down to earth a little bit. Gravenberg has been missing, I don't know how long now, for a couple of months. He's very deep in possession as well. I don't know if that's a tactical thing. I think it is. They've got James Garner. They've got Idrissa Gueye. They've got footballers like that who are good footballers. They're energetic. They're box to box. I think if I was them, I think they'd fancy beating our midfield, and I think that's where the game will be won or lost.
I think anyone would fancy beating our midfield at this moment. You know what I mean? I think any team that comes against Liverpool are finding ways to get through, are finding that we're not really pressing them. There's no real pressure, and they're coming to Anfield or we're going to theirs, and they're full of belief. They're full of confidence that they can beat Liverpool, that they can get to Liverpool. And I think the only thing that's really got us over the line to where we are now is individual brilliance. And we've relied too much on the likes of Salah, Ekitike, Gakpo, in a way, to find a way to score. And I don't think that's going to be enough. And I think teams that have showed desire, teams that show unity, have always managed to get one over Liverpool this season. And that's why I'm really concerned about this game, Peter.
If an Everton player was to score a worldie or get the winner against Liverpool, there'll be a DVD coming out. But at the same time, this is a fantastic opportunity for any Liverpool player to go and put their stamp on the match and make sure that, all right, we're not going to have a DVD coming out because we're a bit more grown up and a better and bigger football club. But at the same time, I'm looking forward to this because there's not much to clutch on this season. There's not much to look forward to, and there's certainly no trophies to be gone this season. Now, I'm thinking Sunday, 2 o'clock kickoff, you go and smash them in the backyard. This is a real big opportunity for a Dominic Szoboszlai free kick or a Kanate header or, dare I say, another Mohamed Salah goal. He's got 8 goals against Everton in his Liverpool career. To make it 10 or possibly even 11 in their own backyard would be fantastic.
I think we need to see Rio and Gomorrah start. I really do think this is the moment now with 5-6 games to go to give him the chance, unleash him and see what he can do. You're not going to lose anything, are you? If anything, he's the most creative player. He brings speed, he brings penetration. And I think we're missing that massive moment now from Rio and Gomorrah where he's going to cement himself as a Liverpool starter, as a Origi moment in a way. But I know Origi never really started for Liverpool, but he became this cult hero sort of figure for Liverpool. And a lot of players over the years have had these moments where they've sort of been accepted by everyone. Everyone's fell in love with them. And I think we need massive performances from players now. Rio and Gamoa, potentially.
Do you not think that goal? Do you not think that goal last week against Fulham was that moment though? Like, you're doing it in the Premier League, and you this is your moment. And it was the fact that how he scored it as well, because there was 5 Fulham players in the box. There was Mohamed Salah, there was him, and he's whipped it round the 2. So like he had no right to score, and it was so special. Do you not think he's already done that? He's at that moment.
In a way, yes. But what I think is the magnitude of that game wasn't big enough for the world to appreciate him. I think now, Merseyside derby, everyone's going to have their eyes on him. And I think that's where the pressure comes in the biggest games of all. If you can do that in that sort of environment, then that's where everyone accepts him. Everyone recognises what a superstar he is. So I do think he's had a brilliant performance there, and I was shocked by the goal. Even though I do believe in his ability, I think everyone was shocked in what he managed to do there. But if he can do that against Everton, I think that just elevates him to a different level.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree, and I can see it happening as well. It'd just be fantastic, wouldn't it, to for the younger lads to just absolutely rub their noses in it. Can you see him doing anything different? He's done something different in the last couple of weeks. Or do you think he reverts back to normal? He's just going to go forward at the back. He's going to go in 3 midfield, 3 up front, or is it a 4-2-3-1? Whatever way it is in the fluid system. Do you think it's just going to be back to basics?
Yeah, I think he needs to go back to basics. I think he needs to take a similar approach to what he did with Fulham, because it worked. And I think...
And Everton are mid-table like Fulham, you know. Like, they're not that good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not like a fantastic football team. Everton are Everton.
Yeah, and I think at the same time, I do think the league has been worse this season. And you asked me a few weeks ago if I thought Liverpool would get top 5, and maybe a bit delusional, but I kept saying yes, no matter what happened every weekend. And the answer was because how bad the others around us are. And I really believe that the teams around us are really, really poor.
Okay, so I'm going to throw this one on you. I said before that if Liverpool would to... this is just my opinion. Maybe I'm building up too much. If Liverpool are to beat Everton, I think we get top 5. Because I can see where the other 3 wins come from. But if we were to lose, I don't know where we get the 4 wins. Because we got Palace the week after, which is a dangerous... prospect in itself. We haven't got the best record against them at various points. I mean, they've come to Anfield a few times and turned us over the last 10 years or so. Then you've got Man United away, which is obviously a difficult game. And I know they're not fantastic, but playing Man United away is a difficult game. You've got Chelsea at home, who's our direct rival for the Champions League spot. Then you've got Aston Villa away, and then you've got Brentford at home. Is it as drastic as what I'm saying? Like, what I'm trying to say is that if Liverpool don't win on Sunday, can you still see us getting 4 then out of 5 wins?
I think if you don't win against Everton, that could potentially kill the confidence of the team, and I can completely see where you're coming from. But I think even if we get a draw, I think they could still hobble over the line. If we lose, that could be detrimental. I see where you're coming from, but I still think they can find a way and get them wins that they need, just because of how poor the other teams around us. It seems like no one wants the Champions League places. It seems like we're playing our direct rivals every single week now. So they're going to drop more points. We're certainly going to drop more points. And we've created sort of a little buffer zone to protect that. So we can afford a couple of mistakes here and there. So in a way, I'm going to delusionally say that we don't have to win against Everton, but it certainly must not lose.
Chelsea play Man United this weekend. So I think if Chelsea was to fail against Man United, I can buy into what you're saying. But I think if Chelsea was to beat Man United, I just think it's disastrous if Liverpool don't win. I think it's must win. It's must win now, and it's squeaky bum time. There's no messing about. Liverpool have to win. And I think the manager has to win, and Rio Gamoa has to start. But I'm going to go through the team there quickly, because Mamardashvili, I thought, was absolutely terrible since he's come into the team. His kicking is probably the worst kicking I've ever seen in a Liverpool goalkeeper, a starting goalkeeper, that is, because he's not the number 2. He's been signed as a number 1. I think he's terrible. I don't know what they were thinking. When we talk about profiling, I don't know what they were thinking to sign a footballer, a goalkeeper, where we play out from the back who can't kick. I seen him against Fulham with my own 2 eyes inside Anfield. kick the ball out from a goal kick to a throw-in. And I'm like, how did that happen? You're not even under pressure. You absolute melt. Right, so, I'm only joking. We should support our players. Right, Jeremy Frimpong, you're going right back?
Yes, Jeremy Frimpong.
We're going to go Kanate and Virgil van Dijk. Are you going Kirkes or Robertson?
A bit of a shout-out for Kanate. I thought he was excellent against PSG, by the way. I think he was one of our better players as well. I think he was one of the shining lights, and it's a shame, really, that it looks like he's going to go.
You never know. We'll speak about that in the next show, but Kanate, he does struggle against players who are physical and better. Will probably start for them. That's what I'm a bit worried. Kirkes or Robertson?
Robertson, definitely Robertson.
I'd go Robbo. Just the experience, and I think he deserves it to go and play in the derby. So I think he's the better player. His legs aren't as quick. That's the only problem. Midfield, Ryan Gravenberg is definitely going to start. Dominic Szoboszlai is definitely going to start. So the other one, is he going to go McAllister or is he going to go Jones?
I would probably go McAllister.
Yeah, unless he plays Wirtz, you don't know.
I don't want to see Wirtz. I'd rather see McAllister. I know he's not been the best, but he has got that fight in him. He has got that challenge in him. And somehow, he almost manages to win headers in the box. I don't know how he does it, because he's one of the smallest players on the pitch.
You've got Gakpo, that you said that'll probably go front. And you've got Mohamed Salah, that I imagine has to start. I mean, he has to start for me. Do you think he will start?
Yeah, he has to
So
start.
then you've only got one other footballer, which is either Florian Wirtz or Rio Ngomo. What do you think the manager does?
I think you have to go with Rio Ngomoa.
So Wirtz on the bench.
I think...
What do you think the manager will do?
What do I think the manager would do? I think he'll probably go with Wirtz.
I think he'll probably go with Wirtz. I don't think Rio starts. Liverpool win?
Yeah, convincingly.
I'm going to end the show then, because that's it. I think Liverpool will win, because despite how miserable and how negative I am, we're playing Everton, and Everton are Everton, so they give you every chance. Remember the semi-final 2012? Liverpool had, I think it was Brad Jones in goal, and they just absolutely bottled it at Wembley. They even took the lead and still bottled it. Remember the FA Cup a few years ago, and Curtis Jones was just the kid and banged on the top corner? Remember, Everton will be Everton. See you soon.